Hello everyone and welcome to another deck profile. Today we are looking at one of the most anticipated decks of this new set of Legacy of Destruction. One that will get a lot of players a little bit excited after, format of having a $1,000 plus deck in Snake Eyes and its variants. We actually have a deck that's mainly less expensive, barring like one or two extra deck staple cards, or I wouldn't even call them staples, but like a couple of extra deck cards and one super rare. You could easily pick up this deck, and we're of course talking about Tenpai Dragons. Tenpai Dragons is a deck that revolves around the battle phase, and it's like really solid. I've been enjoying it. I'm still tinkering around with it, so this is kind of my first take of it, and we'll just get right into it. Starting off with triple of the most expensive main deck monster, Tenpai Dragon Hydra. This is one of the key pieces of the deck, mainly the one that you want to start off with when it's normal or special summon. You can add to your hand or set one Sangan spell or trap card from your deck. You can only use this once per turn. You take no battle damage from battles involving the fire monsters, and then during the battle phase you can immediately, after this effect resolves, synchro summon a monster using this card you control. That last part is not a hard once per turn, it is very much a soft once per turn that allows you to just constantly keep synchro summoning with the other Tenpai Dragons. Most of the time whenever you're summoning this guy, you're going to be setting the field spell, but if you already have the field spell, you'll be going for the quick play. So mandatory 3 of. The other mandatory 3 of is actually going to be your tuner, the Tenpai Dragon Chandra. Chandra, during the once per turn during the battle phase, you can immediately after it resolves synchro summon Fire Dragon, or blah, just synchro summoning monster you control. Synchro summon using monsters only you control. I am messing up my wording here. And then you can use each of the following effects once per turn. If you control a fire monster, special summon this card from your hand. At the start of the damage step of the monster battles, you can special summon one level 4 lower fire monster from your deck except itself. It's a good way to bring out other monsters, especially whenever you're attacking into bigger bodies. You'll be bringing out the my least favorite one of them, Fadra, which is why you only run 2 of it. When it's almost special summon at the start of the damage step. If a monster battles, you can target a level 4 lower fire dragon monster in the graveyard, special summon it. You can only use this effect of Dragon Fadra once per turn. Your fire dragon monsters cannot be destroyed by battle, so that's why you bring it out with Chandra, so your monster survives the battle, and then you can continue using their effects. And then, like the others, immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon. Again, that last one is not a hard once per turn, it is a soft once per turn, so you're able to not infinitely, but just constantly be able to go into other synchro summons during the battle phase. So those are it for the main Tenpai monsters. A couple cards I added in here just for a little bit of consistency. I am playing the Blaster variant, where when you banish this using Gold Sarcophagus, you can add a Fire Dragon Fire Dragon monster from deck to hand. I don't know why I was just thinking Dragon. And then of course Bestial Magnamut, bringing it out to search for one of the Tenpai Dragons during the end phase. Blaster in Gold Sarc are not... They're not going to be, or I'm not going to say they're not going to be in there. I'm currently testing it out with that one, but those are 2 slots that you can free up if you want to play a few other hand traps or a few other board breakers. But I do like Magnamut's versatility. It allows you to get into some potential level 10s, so potential level 10s or other levels depending on what you have. But it's pretty good at searching out things, decent DD Crow, depending on what your opponent is bringing back. And then next up are going to be our hand traps. Playing a pretty decent size hand trap lineup. I'm going to go kind of with the most generic of generics. We'll have the triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. and then triple infinite impermanences. Infinite impermanence I still think is like the best hand trap in the game right now, just because it allows you to get around cards like tactics and thrust to not give your opponent any kind of advantage, and just being able to shut off the effects for the rest of the turn instead of just doing one interruption like Ash usually does. Does a lot more for you in terms of disrupting your opponent. But I also do like the triple Ash Blossom, just because, again, really good at just like stopping key parts of your opponent's searches. But with fire being super popular right now, it is susceptible to getting Hita, so that's like the only reason why I don't call Ash the best hand trap in the game. And then I like running double Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, and then double Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. Being able to prevent the opponent from special summoning from the graveyard, I think, is going to be really clutch this format. And then Ghost Ogre is pretty good at just like, in terms of when you're facing a Tenpai mirror match, just destroying the field spell so that you can begin to affect your opponent's monsters again with your hand traps or any other sets you might have put down there. Because once you get rid of the field spell, their plays aren't as safe and they're much more susceptible to what your hand traps are. And then finally, for the rest of the spell cards, for the Sangen cards, Sangen for the Tenpai card, Sangen summoning 3 for sure, and then triple Sangen Kaiman. Sangen summoning is going to be really clutch because it'll prevent your opponents from being affected by your cards by being affected. It'll prevent your cards from getting affected by your opponent's card effects during the main phase, so you can make a lot of your plays during the main phase uninterrupted without fear of getting Nibiru, fear of getting Ash, fear of getting Veilered, Imperm, all that stuff. Help clear, potentially your opponent's board as well. And then Sangen Kaiman lets you either add a level 4 or lower fire dragon monster from your deck to your hand, or special summon one if you activate it during the main phase. But if you activate it during the battle phase, you get both effects. They're 3-ups. Like, these cards are way too good not to use. And then if you have like kind of a dead hand trap, you can pitch it with Sangen summoning and then search a Tenpai Dragon monster from deck to hand and then pitch that one. So not too bad. And as the caveat of, if it's getting destroyed, target a Dragon Synchro monster you control. Most of the time it's going to be Trident Dragon. Double its attack. Really good. And then to help with the consistency as well, Prosperity, because you can play through Prosperity like in just about any given line. Like, this deck can pump out anywhere from 15 to 30,000 points of damage on a given turn, which is pretty insane. And then of course the One Cold Sarcophagus to banish the blaster to get essentially a search going, thin out the deck. Not too bad. Prosperity, being able to play it in multiples is not bad at all, because in all honesty, we at most will need 3 cards in our extra deck. At most. If those don't do the job, well, we're in for a very rough next turn. Of course, the one terraforming to search out for the field spell. Alright, and then in terms of some other stuff, we have a little bit of the board breakers with Lightning Storm, being able to clear opponent's back row or monsters. Of course, Harpy's Feather Duster if we're looking at particular, or just looking at back rows in particular. And then always funny sending these off after you activate them with Forbidden Droplet. Really good at shutting off some of your opponent's key cards, especially once they know what they're going against. They'll be playing to kind of prevent that. So they'll be trying to set up like some negates, some interruptions, stuff like Apu, SP, all that stuff. Playing Droplet to negate their effects allows you to kind of play a lot more freely. Really good card. And then finally, my tech option that I'm going in here, because at least in my local scene, I know there's going to be a lot of players who are gravitating towards Tenpai Dragon because of its price point, which I don't blame them one bit. And so because I know I'll more than likely be playing in a few mirrors, I'm opting to play the triple crossout designator just to be able to play, just to be able to stun my opponent, especially once we get into the round 2. Being able to shut off Chandra during their main phase, just like stopping, you know, either shutting off a Chandra or a Sangen Kaiman or, you know, Field Spell is, I think is going to be really good. So crossout designator is kind of my tech card. And also when you're trying to do some stuff, you know, just having another form of being able to defend yourself against hand traps. And then finally for the extra deck, I'll just go with the kind of 4 that you'll play the most of. The Double Biting Dragon. It is a Synchro Tuner monster, so that's how we're able to get into the level 10s. When it's special summoned, or when it's Synchro summoned, I should make that distinction. Target a Fire Dragon monster in the graveyard, special summon it. You can't special summon for the rest of this turn except Dragon monsters. And then if 3 or more attacks have been declared, you can special summon this card from the graveyard, then destroy a spell or trap card on the field. Transcendent Dragon. Most of the time when you bring this out, you're going to be going for game. Opponent. All monsters my opponent controls must attack if able. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects during the battle phase, so a lot of people like being able to go into this one and then getting a lot of the plays off. That way you're protected during the main phase and then you're protected during the battle phase, which makes this really, really good. Change all monsters to attack position, and then if 3 or more attacks have been declared this turn, you can special summon this card from the graveyard, then destroy 1 card on the field. Really good. And then the big finisher, Trident Dragon. Genuinely, what can be said, it is a game ender. If you bring this out, you are either going for overdrive, or your opponent somehow managed to gain a lot of life, or your opponent played freaking Ghost Mourner and Spooky Dogwood, and you're just like trying to finish them off. Really, really good card. When it's Synchro Summon, you can destroy up to 2 cards you control, and if you do, for each card destroyed by this effect, this card gains an additional attack. So most of the time you'll be popping either your Transcendent Dragon or one of your other monsters plus Field Spell to get this card up to 6,000, and that's 18k right there. So you can play just through about anything, or not play through just about anything. You can play through Prosperity with Trident Dragon alone. Really good card. And then for some of our other non-Dragon Synchro Summons, I dropped one of my cards here. Cyber's Quantum to bounce back cards. Moonlight, same thing, bounce back cards. Black Rose Dragon, if you're kind of in a pickle and you need to clear your opponent's field, if you have this plus the field spell, you are golden. You can blow up everything and then continue your plays. And then we have the Time Lord Warp Gate, again, good, decent in mirror matches, decent against Yubel. So those are the synchros I'm playing. And then the rest of this extra deck spot, even the synchro monsters, except for the first 4 I talked about, kind of replaceable, kind of like what you want to do. So for me, the link package I'm playing is Striker, Hida, Heavenly Spears, SP Little Knight. Striker to be able to go into SP and get the banish effect, obviously, and Heavenly Spears for bounce, set hand traps, spray for the best once they make you go first. Hida just to be able to again go into SP Little Knight. So nothing too fancy there, just like decent link monsters. And then I'm running Super Poly in the side, so I have some Super Poly targets here. Garura, Mud Dragon, and Starving Venom Fusion. Excuse me. But again, like, these slots in the extra deck are so flexible. Like, I recommend playing at minimum Double Bident and then Transcendent Dragon. Trident Dragon, I don't feel like you need. I feel like the deck can ditch out enough damage without it that you can play it without it. But if you have the ability to play it, I would say these 4 are like the must plays in the deck, and then the rest are up to whatever you want. The extra deck is like so flexible in this deck. The one change I know for sure I'll make as soon as I get the card, pardon me, it is pretty late at night, is I will probably take out the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon to play the Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon, just to be able to have a simpler line to go into before we enter the battle phase. And then moving on to the side deck. A couple of other hand traps. D Shifter if they're making me go first. Drone Lockbird depending on what I'm facing. Heat Wave. Really good card. Very mandatory. Well, not mandatory, but if they're making you go first, play this so that you can essentially give yourself an out to win on the next turn. I am missing a 3rd Super Poly that I'm going to be putting in here, but yeah, that's Super Poly. Yeah, so Super Poly is like my 15th one, again, just to be able to clear out monsters. Cosmic Cyclone for more back row removal, especially like longer lingering ones, like if they activate something like a skill drain during the draw phase or standby phase, having something to clear it out if we don't have the Lightning Storm or the Harpies. And then for mirror matches, for specific matchups like Voiceless or Pearly, or something else that goes into the extra deck a lot that's not Snake Eyes, Dimensional Barrier, just as another way to stun, especially if they're making you go first. Just another way to kind of skip turn them and get the victory. Alright, so that is my current build for Tenpai Dragons. A lot of it isn't finalized. Still got to do some testing, but this is kind of like my version 1 of it. Let me know down on the comments below what you guys think. What changes would you make? Do you want to play Tenpai Dragons, or do you think they're overrated? Comment below and let me know. Sub, all that stuff. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.